Good morning, welcome to MalFramework tutorial video number 9. This is where we'll start getting into the meat of the mission. And as I said previously, we're just going to go ahead and use a mission that I've already made. So for me anyway, the hardest thing about making a mission is I always want to go too big. I always want to put these opening sequences and a lot of historical information or a lot of backstory. It's hard for me just to make like quick, simple, short briefing type missions, because as soon as I really start getting into it, I find other scripts, or I want to try, like for example, for SOG Prairie Fire, J-Boy or Johnny Boy makes this script where it has like a punji trap, but it's on a swing rope, and it's a pretty cool script for a trap in Vietnam. And unfortunately, it works in single player great, it works in multiplayer great, but it doesn't work in the dedicated environment. So I couldn't use it for this mission because we'll be playing it on dedicated. But anyway, my point is first you need to come up with a story, or at least what you want the mission to be, like what's the main objective. The early days of MaxSOG, they were just starting. They didn't have a lot of support, and mainly they were going out to do recon, and initially they were configured incorrectly. I think their teams were like 12 Americans going out, and for starters that was too big of a team, and also all Americans. And that's later on is when they started, it was like 1 or 2 Americans and like 4 to 8 or something, like indigenous personnel that they had trained up. And it was usually indigenous personnel that were either mercenaries or they were local tribes that had been shunned or persecuted by the North Vietnamese and or the South Vietnamese for that matter. Anyway, in the editor, there's two screens that you'll mainly deal with. It's the 3D screen and the map screen. The map screen is important because it'll show markers like this one or these markers here, whereas the 3D screen will not show that. The first thing I do is I decide what units I'm going to use and how big the teams are. And in this case, I have 2 recon teams. One is Recon Team Raleigh, the other is Recon Team Columbia. They both happen to be in MaxSOG. Recon Team Columbia, Recon Team Raleigh. I believe the structure historically for both of those teams were 2 Americans, and usually it would be it was either 2 or 3 Americans, and you would have obviously an American TL who was the 1-0, and you would have an American 1-1 or a 1-2 who was the RTO and or medic. In this case, I've started them out in these, I can't remember what you call these huts, but we've started them out in these huts. I've put a little symbol up here. Oh, this is Recon Team Raleigh's hut. And so we have Recon Team Raleigh and Recon Team Columbia, and these are the pilots for the helos I have over on the helo pad. We have 2 slicks or transports, and we have 1 gunship. And in the early days of SOG, they only had access to these Choctaws. And in my mission, we're starting out in the early days when MAC-V-SOG just started. Alright, for the teams, as I've showed you in other videos, this is the unit symbol or unit marker. So this line here means that if you were to right click him and say connect, they are grouped to this team leader. And I have them grouped in order of how I want them to appear in the slotting screen. So if I were to have grouped this 01 Montagnard to the team leader first, then he would actually be here, and this 1-1, if I had grouped him second, he would be down here. And what we've used, or what code I've put in for the is for the TFAR module, and I'm calling the TFAR radios, and the short range is on channel 1 and the long range is on channel 1 for everyone in the team that has a radio. So if he didn't have a long range radio, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have a long range radio. But if he has a short range radio, then his radio is going to start on channel 1. When we click into the unit itself, this is the TL. So remember, it's the unit. It's calling the TL gear script. It's giving him the platoon level leadership, which is functions in the admin menu that is created in Malvern's framework, or that Malvern's created in his framework. And he doesn't have any special ACE abilities like medic, pilot, or engineer. Green shows up in the DUI, not the BFT. Remember, I corrected myself in the other videos on that. And his default view distance is 1,000, but I need to get with Malvern and ask him which one takes precedence. Is it this view distance, or is it this view distance that takes precedence? Now, for my mission, I went ahead and synced them up where the players was at 1,000, and I set the players at 1,000. This code right here, this set unit trait, Vietnam artillery, true, that allows this unit, specifically the TL, to be able to use that SOG Prairie Fire artillery support module that I showed you in the description EXT. And this call MalFramework custom channel, I believe was the ATAC channel. And how do we check that? We go over to config, and where is the extra channel? Oh, remember down here, TFAR is on true because I wanted to use it. And I'm not using Malvern's mortar fire because I'm using the SOG Prairie Fire support or artillery. And the custom channel I have true. I've named it JTAC, and I've given it a color. The default color he put in was FK pink, and it uses an RGBA format. So that's what this is, the RGBA format. So those are the 3 lines of code I've put in this unit. They don't have to make him a player, but his role description, he was the 1-0, the American TL for Recon Team Raleigh. And I've given him the rank of captain. It has some order of precedence in the vanilla BI system. The second unit was this guy, the 1-1. And I made him the medic, and I believe RTO, no, I have the TL carrying the radio, the RTO. So the TL is going to be the RTO in this case, which historically was true for some teams. Some teams didn't do that, some teams did. But this guy, again, this calls for the medic gear script. We've given him the power to set rally points. If you remember where that's at, we'll just look back at the code and player. And 1 is set squad leadership, so he can deploy rally points. That's what that 1 is. He's a medic, so true. Pilot false, engineer false. Again, he's green on the shack tack, or sorry, DUI, and he's got 1,000 view distance, no shoulder patch, and he doesn't have the ability to call that prairie fire artillery or fire support module, and he doesn't have access to the JTAC channel. And I've given him the rank of a sergeant. Then we come to the the squad leader. Yep, the third in command in case the 2 Americans got killed. It would be the Vietnamese guy who we're using the interpreter or terp gear script. We give him the ability to call a rally point. You know, false, false, false for the ace special attributes. Green 1,000, no shoulder patch. You're starting to see a pattern here. I know this was the last guy. I can't remember which one was the next one in order of precedence, but it doesn't matter. Again, this is just a machine gunner, calls the machine gunner script. You recognize all of this. He has 0. He can't call a rally point or respawn or tactical withdrawal or anything, no special ability. Calls for the grenadier script, similar to the machine gunner. And the scout will be similar. Just calls for the scout gear script. And so let's look at the gear script real quick. The gear script can be found in config. So remember, these are the scripts or the modules that are pre-written, and the config is where you would configure all of this stuff. So the gear script I came in here and made, and he tells you how to do it. Create a loadout in the ACE arsenal, click export, and then paste the export array. So he gives an example of how you would fit all of that in the array. I've commented this and said
User entered your channel.
These are max SOG gear scripts, and here's the TL. There's his rifle. These are the magazines in his load-bearing vest. His secondary isn't that cut off M79, and all of these things mean something in here. I can't remember off the top of my head what it all means. I think this would be, so the weapon, I believe it's sight, the barrel attachment, and I think any other accessory like laser or something is this slot. But obviously this is Vietnam, so they didn't have any of that. It even goes down to show, you know, here's his uniform, what's in his uniform. I put map tools, the med bandages similar to the FK medic system where you have 6 packing bandages, 1 epinephrine, there's a flashlight. Anyway, so that's so, you know, when the mission starts and this is initialized on this playable unit, let's say Jericron's playing this guy, it calls for the TL gear script. So it comes to this mission, it comes to this file in the mission folder, looks for the TL gear script, and gives that character or that playable unit this gear. So we have pilot, scout, machine gunner, grenadier, terp, medic, and TL. For SOG Prairie Fire, you don't have GPS and you don't have Blue Force tracking markers, so navigation on the map becomes, if you have that skill, then you are valuable. Unfortunately, right now, SOG Prairie Fire map, like the kMaN map and the kMaN map, are not compatible with map tools. So what I've done is this item right here is a vanilla BI map of this terrain. So instead of using the SOG Prairie Fire map. This is the vanilla BI map for this terrain. This will allow you to use the map tools because I wanted all of the team leaders in both teams and the pilots and co-pilots to be able to use map tools to help or to aid in navigation. The way, I think it's the way SOG Prairie Fire loads. I could probably figure it out, but this is just the easy way to do it, or I could have it swap out that SOG Prairie Fire map with the vanilla one, and it would start in your inventory. But I've tried putting that map in this inventory, and it seems like this inventory loads, and then the SOG Prairie Fire loads, and it replaces the map, the vanilla map, with a SOG Prairie Fire map. So I've just dropped it on the ground so the TL can pick it up. But there's the team in 3D. There's the TL with the vanilla map in front of him to pick up. He's got the regular rucksack, so I think I might have made the medic also the RTO. Oh, that's right. These are the. So what you're looking at here is the stock, or the vanilla SOG Prairie Fire equipment on these guys. As soon as we would load into the mission, it would show the equipment that is in these gear scripts. And if I look, let's see if I can find the backpack on here real quick. Vest, 16 mags. I believe this is the radio backpack for the TL. I don't think I gave the radio backpack to the medic because he was already carrying, you know, a bunch of medic stuff. But anyways, I can't tell what this backpack is just by the name because I don't remember it, but it's Vietnam B backpack Tropical 04, and I'm pretty sure that's the radio one. Anyway, but what you see here, because the mission hasn't loaded and initialized, is the default kit when you pull like this 1.1 RTO. It's whatever default kit that he comes with. And I've put this, like I've said, I took the RT Raleigh object and like sign and tacked it up on the inside of their little Quonset hut or whatever you call them. So there's the Grenadier, there's the machine gunner. Now again, their equipment will be different when the mission loads and spawns in, but I did leave the machine gunner with that rifle or machine gun, and probably that Grenadier with that rifle. It would be the other equipment that changed on them. So if we come outside, you can see these objects are basically flagpoles, a SOG one and a USA one, and this is a marker that you would see in the map that just says, hey, this is where you start the mission. There's the SOG flag, there's the American flag. This blue wall looking translucent wall is a marker I have that triggers a helicopter. So this trigger right here with this code, so this trigger is activated by Blue 4 when Blue 4 is present. So that means when one of these units, Blue 4 units, walks into this area, then on activation it triggers the trigger, and this is MalFramework's FlyBy script or module. So if we go back into the core, he's listed it as, I believe, yeah, FlyBy, and here he lists how to set it up. So in this case, this is the plane that, in this one, it's a plane. I believe it's, I don't remember which vanilla plane that is, but anyway. And the first array is the starting position of the aircraft. So it would be, I'll show you how to get starting position later. But basically, this is the starting coordinates for the aircraft. The second array is the first waypoint that it flies to, and the third array is the second waypoint that it flies to. And this one right here is the altitude of the aircraft. This is the starting position of the aircraft, and this just calls the module. So I have it as this aircraft, which would be one of the Choctaw helicopters. This is the starting coordinates, and this is the height of the helicopter. This is the second waypoint after the start, or the first waypoint
User
after the
joined your
start,
channel.
and this is the second waypoint after the first one. And here you see it's calling the flyby. We're going to end the video right there, because again I wanted to keep these short. Actually, we're not going to end the video. We're going to look at the attributes for how I've made this mission. I've put the name. I thought I got rid of that, but just kMaN. I went ahead and put basically the same verbiage in the overview text as I put in the description HPP file. So right here on mission load, this same verbiage I've put here. You don't have to do that. I've also put it on the overview locked in the loading screen. You don't have to do that. I did. I don't know why I do that. I do check here that it requires the DLC, because it does. It requires the DLC because you're using the map that comes with the DLC. I am thinking about doing some SOG Prairie Fire missions where you use a different map, so FK members that don't own SOG Prairie Fire can run the SOG Prairie Fire compatibility mod, and we play on a map that's not one of the two SOG Prairie Fire maps, kMaN and kMLAO, whatever it was. So that way, maybe we can get more players in, but the SOG Prairie Fire compatibility basically downloads all the units and weapons and everything for SOG Prairie Fire. The only thing it does is throw up an ad for you to buy the DLC, and you can't play a mission if it's on the two maps that are in SOG DLC. Anyway, independent, or the ARVN, or the South Vietnamese Army, they're independent to Blue, or allegiant to Blue 4. I didn't change anything in the states or the unlock or the init. I don't think I changed anything in the NISC. Airdrop and ambient flyby, it's the same thing basically in Malvern's framework, but this is a 3 enhanced thing, but it's the same thing. So you could do it here if you wanted and you were making the mission with 3 enhanced. The environment I've set for, yeah, it was not 1962, it was 1964 when MacVSOG was starting. Before that, it was classified programs under an intelligence organization that ran similar type of operations, but this is when MacVSOG started to take those over. I didn't do any manual override. I just let the vanilla BI weather engine decide what kind of weather we were going to have. Multiplayer for Malvern's framework. So I put game type SOG Prairie Fire. I could have put co-op, but I just put SOG Prairie Fire. Minimum players 1, max 18. I could put that summary that you saw in the other attributes in here, but I didn't, because it's going to show up via the description.hpp. But you do respawn on custom position. That's the one thing you have to turn on if you're using respawns in Malvern's framework. You leave revive disabled, not using dynamic groups, and I don't set the AI skill in this. Again, this is I believe, yeah, this one is a 3D enhanced option, or 3D enhanced brings you this ability to use this, but Malvern's framework has it built in. Performance. I need to do a separate video over like dynamic simulation and AI caching, but I'll do that later. Garbage collection is not handled by this, it's handled by Malvern's framework in the config, not the config SQF, but the description ext. Yeah, he's got the garbage collector here and the rec management here. All right, now I'll end this video and we'll move on to the next one. Thanks. If you have any questions, let me know.